username Steam already. That's my administrator user. That's everything. But for a lot of people, maybe under the username John or Jim or whatever, just some other random username. I would recommend not installing srcds and the CSGO server as a root user. In fact, Steam recommends, and I recommend making your own username Steam if you don't have one already. Now, when you do that through the command line, there's two ways you can go about it. You can either add user, or you can user add. Okay, now what's the difference here? So one of them is a friendly front-end interface that allows you to create a home directory and do all these things. One of them is not. If you forget which is which, then you can very easily look at the Linux man pages. So you type in man, add user, and what does this say? Add user, add group. They add users and groups to the system according to command line options and configuration information. They are friendlier front ends to low-level tools like user add. So user add is the low-level tool, and add user is the friendlier front end. So if I were to do the opposite, man, user add is low-level utility for adding users. On Debian, administrators should usually use add user instead. So it's easy for us to figure out which one we want, and in this case, we want to do the one that is less difficult. Again, add user, the friendlier front end. So if you don't have add user already, you can just type in add user, and you have to do it from from administrator or root level user to begin with, but that would be the way to do that. Okay, now let's assume you have done that and you actually have your username Steam installed. You're going to want to switch user to Steam. I'm already there, so it's not going to do anything for me, but that's how you would switch users, SU, and then the name of the user you want to switch to. Okay, now you're there. The other option is to simply log out and log back in, which is right up here in the corner. Log out and log back in is the right person. Okay, I basically had logged in twice, so I exited out of one of them. But again, switch user will allow you to do it with the command line, or you can log out and log back in. So at this point, you've done a few things. You have installed the dependencies, which was, if you look at our history, who's this one right here? Sudo apt-get install lib32 gcc1. That allowed you to provide all the dependencies to the 64-bit version of srcds to allow it to run all these older 32-bit dependencies, because apparently the program has a lot of 32-bit dependencies, and you have added a user and switched to that user. Okay, so now that we've done that, what you're going to want to do is get to your home directory. By default, when you open a terminal, you're going to end up at your home directory, but if you forget how to get there, it's fairly easy to get to do. So by default, most home directories are going to be in /home. Because my username is Steam, this would be my home directory. And if I do pwd print working directory, I'm at home Steam. So you can either change directory to home Steam, or you can do change directory into the home variable, which expands into just this. That takes the same place, again, right there, or cd tilde, that again takes us home. So if I were at a different directory, let's say I was at desktop, and so home Steam desktop, I can get to where I want by typing cd home. Now if I print working directory, I'm right where I want to be. Okay, just in case you're wondering, you can clear the screen by hitting Control+L or typing in clear. Okay, so now that that is done, you're going to want to do one of two things. You're going to want to make, or you'll want to do one thing first anyway. You're going to want to make a folder where you can install all of your Steam files, and to do that we're going to use the program makedir. Now, because I've actually done this once before, I'm going to actually remove the existing Steam CMD folder that I have made earlier. Okay, so if I look, there's no Steam CMD. I'm starting over from scratch. So I'm going to make their Steam CMD. Now we are here, where we want to be. Print working directory, home Steam CMD. So now that we're there, what we want to do is we want to get the install files. To do that, you're going to use this command, wget program, and this file right there. So it's going to download that file. Alright, I know, 10.5 megs a second, you're jealous. Megabytes too. Actually peak higher than that, like 18 megabytes a second. So we have downloaded the file we want. If we type ls, we list the contents of this directory. You see, it's right there. This is coming in what you would call like a tarball form, and it's similar to a zip file. So to unzip it, you will enter this command, tar-xvzf. I honestly don't remember exactly what all of these commands are for. Extract, verbose, so it's going to tell you what it's doing. I don't remember the Z and the F are for. But tar-xvzf. Now, if you want to see what the commands are, or what those options are, then you can very easily type in man tar. And if you look down, you know, they're all listed here. Okay, so F for file. Yep, all right here. So just if you want to satisfy your curiosity at this moment, I am not too too concerned about that. Okay, so let's get back to where we were. tar xvzf steam cmd. If you know where that beeping is, it's whenever there's an error, it makes a beeping noise. If you have partially written out a file name, you can hit tab to autocomplete. And if I didn't, in that case, I didn't have the name spelled correctly, so it gave me an error noise. Okay, so it went ahead and extracted everything. Now I have these 4 files. I have a folder that was just created, 2 files that were just extracted, which are script files, and then I have this tarball file, which I no longer need anymore, so I can remove it actually. So I don't need it, it's gone. Just clearing things up. Now, one thing I want to show you, if I do ls-la, which gives you all the details, then you can see these green files have some special things about them. One, they have they're green and executable because they have this X or executable bit. If I were to minus X or subtract the executable bit from steamcmd.sh, then it's going to show up as a black file. No longer executable. What that means is if I try to run it, it doesn't let me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the executable bit back. Okay. Now that's important because for some people, after they extract the file, it may lose its executable bit, and you have to put it back on in order for you to run steamcmd. Now, another thing you're going to need to do is you're going to have to define a location for your Counter-Strike Go dedicated server files. So, and this will be important for when you actually finally launch steamcmd. So what I'm going to do from here, from this directory, I'm going to add an additional couple of directories. So make dir game server files. just kind of assuming that at some point you may have more than one server. If I change directories into game server files, I'll make another directory for CSGO ODS. Oh, I misspelled that.